Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble home, my humble casa in Livingston, Montana. Okay, today's date, before I forget, is October 29th of 2020. And there's a direct bearing why I wanted to quote this recording date, Okay, and the reason for that is this morning I get up and I'm out, I go out in the living room and I'm having coffee and BSing with the wife, and she's, flitting around in the living room kitchen like good faithful wives do and all this other stuff. And, we're making small talk, and all of a sudden I looked over and I seen her coffee table, and it was all full of Halloween decorations, little pumpkins. There was a little owl sitting on the edge of the table, which cracked me up, the way it was sitting there, the way it looked and all that. And she had a bunch of other knickknacks and stuff like that. Well, I got to talking to her about that owl and all that, and she told me where she got that. And I said, look here, Missy. I said, that owl really isn't a Halloween bird or a part of the atmosphere or the environment of this stupid holiday or whatever called Halloween. Not in my humble opinion anyway. But the little bird was really cute and all this other kind of stuff. So she picks it up and she gives it to me and tells me all about it and everything, and where she got it. And then I looked at her and I said, is it Halloween today? Now remember, guys, today is Thursday, October 29th of 2020. And she goes, yeah, it's Halloween today. And I looked at her and I said, bullshit, because it didn't feel like Halloween. I didn't see Halloween jumping out of my iPhone here, or I had no indication that it was Halloween. And she goes, no. Of course, my wife could have been pulling one on me too, but, she's not as good at that as I am, But anyway, she says, no, don't you know, Jim, that every third Thursday in October is Halloween. Halloween always falls on Thursday. And I looked at her and I said, I don't know, but I don't think that's not right, But anyway, finally I decided to stop arguing with her. I figured I don't care. I mean, look, to me, Halloween, I've already said this on my channel. I've already told several stories and everything. But to me, Halloween is an absolute waste of time. Here you are, taking these kids across America, dressing them up as ghosts, skeletons, goblins, and all this nonsense like that. You know what I mean? Making them look, something that they're not, and all this other stuff. And then we want to take them around all the houses in the neighborhood and fill them up with candy and sugar and hype them up. Here you got a bunch of kids looking like a bunch of idiots, so to speak, a bunch of renegades, and all hyped up on sugar. What the hell? How the hell does this work? Oh yeah, we're correcting the youth of America, all right. Halloween is a stupid, dumb holiday as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, my wife goes off to work, okay? But I'm thinking all morning, okay, it's Halloween, maybe time to tell a story, maybe time to do a video. And that's why I'm here, but I had to tell that first part because Halloween is the 31st, which is Saturday of this month of October. 2 more days. Friday tomorrow, then Saturday. Halloween's on Saturday, okay? I won the argument. I'll make sure we get back into it when she gets home tonight. But I got a story to tell you. Back in my day when I was young, 14, 15 years old, I had a second cousin of mine. He was a lot older than me. His name was Uncle Harry. He had about 90 acres out in a place called Roundview, Montana, right out by Ronan. And he tells us boys, us church-going, God-fearing boys that went to the Pablo Nazarene Church, he says, okay, boys, he says, I tell you what would be a good idea for this Halloween. I'll let you use my barn. Now, a lot of them old-timers, they never used to let you use your barn, the barn to have any fun. Usually that barn was a place of labor. And so we asked him, what do you mean, Uncle Harry? He goes, oh, come on, use your imagination, set up a spook house. And we got to thinking, oh boy, we all of a sudden we just, all kinds of ideas start flying out of us. Yeah, we can do this, and we can put ghosts up here, and we can put pulleys over here, and we did all this kind of crap, Anyway, Harry was true to his word. He let us, just go in there, and he told us as long as we cleaned up our mess and everything, we could make us a spook house, We painted a sign that said, well, I don't want to use any names to dox anybody, but so-and-so spook house, and we made little bats flapping around, and we made a deal where you walk out with when you got ready. One of the weirdest things we had going, and I know I told this story on my channel, is when you walked in the door, anybody, any suspect, any person that was about ready to have a very bad time, when you walked in, the first thing you did was trip, because we had a tripwire. We got a hold of some like 80-pound test nylon or salmon fishing line, and strung it across from door to, from cell to cell, and all of that stuff. So the idea is that you walked in and you fell down, and I'm sitting up on this great big pile of hay, and I had this great big old gunny sack that was full of gunny sacks with a little tiny rock in it to give it enough weight to swing, And I'd wait for the person to come in, they'd start stumbling, then I'd let that thing go. The whole idea is they were to fall down, and that thing was to come along and smash them back up again. It was really a disaster. My booby trap, was... half the time it never worked because people would, they seen other people stumbling at the door and they knew something was going on and all this other stuff, And what it was is we had hay stacked around like this, where you go in and you go behind a wall of hay, and then you go into another little room, and there was a wall of hay all the way around, and then you went around and you went out, through another row of hay, and then you went out the back door, or some goofy thing like that. And all of us heathens that were running the spook house, of course, were up on top of the hay, making the bats move and do all this other weird stuff. And my job was that swinging that sack full of gunny sacks, Okay, now listen, here, I'm going to get to the crux of this, let me see what time we got. 7 minutes. We're doing good. Okay, we had a lady in our church that was about 45, 50 years old, and she was unmarried. Nice lady. I don't know what you call a woman like that. She wasn't a spinster. Maybe she didn't like being married. Maybe she didn't like being men or whatever. I could never figure out why she was never married, but hey, back in them days, I didn't concern myself too much with that. But she was, couldn't call her a widow because she was never married, like I say, kind of a nice lady and whatnot have you. Anyway, I just don't remember what they call women like that, but it doesn't matter. I'm not here to call women names. That was her business if she didn't want to get married. But she volunteered with us boys to be a corpse for us. I said to be a corpse for us. Now what we did is we made this makeshift coffin, out of scrap wood and everything, nailed and all the other, and we laid her down in there in some black clothing and, took some rouge or face makeup and made her face look all weird and found some black hat and stuck it on her and we put ketchup dripping down her right, like the corners of her mouth and stuff like ketchup, I said. We had her looking pretty spooky and everything. And the whole idea is when people came around the corner, from one section of the spook house into the next section, she'd rise up a little bit in the coffin, and she'd go, and all that, and supposedly scare the crap out of people. Well, some people, she did a real good job of scaring. Okay, I had this buddy of mine, I'm not going to say his name or get into it. He was working or something, he didn't help us build the spook house, so he had to go through it. And I knew this guy here was trouble from the beginning because I just knew his temperament, man. But he starts going through the trip house. He said, "Okay, boys, I'm in here. And he started not cussing us, but giving us a bad time and everything because he knew we were all hiding up in the hay and whatnot, have you." Anyway, he comes around the corner to where the lady was that was laying in the coffin, that is supposed to be a witch or a dead person or whatever have you. And she goes, she raises up and goes, "Hey," like that. This buddy of mine, now listen, this buddy of mine goes, "You don't scare me, man." And he hauled off with his right hand and popped her right in the schnoz, right in the mouth. You know what I'm talking about? She, bam! Like that. And I was one room over, but I was up on top of the hay, and I could hear that. I could hear it all over the barn, And she gets all mad at him, and he calls him by name. He said, "You didn't need to do that," and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Well, look at here. Word eventually drifted back to the ranch house where old Harry was. And he comes to tripping out there. Now, old Harry was a big man, and he was nobody to mess with. He reminded me of old Ben Cartwright on a Bonanza series, He's kind of like one of them kind of guys. He comes out there, he says, "Okay, boys," he says, the spook house is officially closed. You're having way too much fun out here. And all that. So he made us clean up everything and stopped having fun just because my buddy cold cocks that old lady. I know people are thinking, "Boy, this guy's weird. There's nothing fun about that." That's because you probably haven't had any fun in your life. Yeah, it was funny. Nobody died. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on this pre-season for Thanksgiving, thank you for peeking in here. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you on down the trail. And let me get gone out of here. And adios, my friends.